you cover the front for us then? everyone. Good morning. Welcome. Have a seat. There are plenty of pews to spread out in. And I encourage you spreading out because this new COVID is spreading as well. Welcome. Good morning. I am Karen Leblanc. I am the minister of this church. This is my digital and fire assistant today, Brody. We are a beloved community of people who believe that everyone is worthy of respect, that science is real, the democratic process is a sacred thing. We are all part of an interconnected web, and that the light and energy we share and put out makes a difference in this world. So if what you hear today resonates with you and you are already not part of this community, you can fill out one of these magical blue cards that will put you on our mailing list and our email list so that you can stay up to date on all the cool stuff going on here. Okay, please keep your masks on while you are in service, all the way up to your nose, over your nose even. We will not be doing coffee hour still. Singing is okay as long as your mask is on. Candles of joy and concern. You know, there's paper and stuff to write stuff down, but I think what I'm going to do is if someone has a joy and concern, I'm just going to come up and you can tell me and I'll speak it into the microphone. How's that? Because we've got plenty of paper, but I think we're out of pencils. Okay, so, and please put your phones in worship mode to keep that distraction out of the way. All right, Brody, let's do it. Okay. Chalice lighting is called Intentions and Trust by Lloyd. Today, I want to greet joy without a trace of suspicion. I want to open my eyes to the light without a blink of dread. I want to look at my past without a whisper of shame. I want to look at my future without a hint of fear. Today, I want to dance without pausing to think. I want to belly laugh without caring who hears. I want to open my arms and twirl in the sun until I fall breathless, free to be myself, full of the joy that I open to allow, completely letting go, without even a smudge of suspicion or a wink of hesitation. That's my intention. That's what I want. Our opening words this morning, I know I've said this prayer before, so I don't know where they got it. The author is unknown. It's called A Prayer of Good Intention. Dear Lord, so far I've done all right. I haven't gossiped, I haven't lost my temper, haven't been greedy or grumpy, nasty or selfish or overindulgent, and I'm really glad about that. But in a few minutes, God, I'm going to get out of bed. From then on, I'm going to need a lot more help. Amen. Please rise as you are willing and able in body or spirit and sing with me number 118, This Little Light of Mine. 118. time to safely greet one another now. And now let us recite our covenant, which is printed in your order of service. We come together as a religious community, upholding freedom of conscience, right relationship, and the inherent worth of all people. We value our diversity and pledge to care for one another in the spirit of compassion, to speak and listen to each other with respect, and to promote justice and kindness in the world. Please be seated. Brody, come on over here. We only have a couple kids to tell a story to. I need all the kids I can get. This works? Yes. All right, why don't you come sit over here so you can look at me, and I can look at you, and we can all look at these pictures. Be seated. So Miss Yasmin unfortunately took a test this morning, and she has COVID, and so does her husband and her kids. She's feeling just fine, but to be safe, she took a test because one of her kids was coughing. So we thank her for being vigilant and staying home when she's sick. So we had to run and get this book this morning that she was going to read. Luckily, she doesn't live far, and I have a husband that was willing to go fetch it for me while I came here. It's called New Shoes by Susan Lynn Meyer. My cousin Charlotte hands me the package as we stand outside Johnson's Shoes. If you could have any shoes in the window, which would you choose? Those, Charlotte says, pointing to some red sandals. What about you, Ella May? Today I choose saddle shoes. They'd be just right for going back to school. But I know full well it's just wishing. Money's too tight for new shoes. When I get home, Mama opens the package. Winslow's shoes are in good shape, she says. She hands them to my brother Clayton. That's always the way we hand them down. Winslow's shoes go to Clayton. Charlotte's shoes go to me. I clean Charlotte's old shoes. But when I put them on, they pinch my toes. I show Mama. Mama sighs, well, we'll just have to scrape together money for new shoes. Shoes I pick out myself. I can't believe it. On Saturday, we're going to Johnson's. On Saturday morning, when we walk in, the bell jingles. Mr. Johnson looks our way. Behind us, the door jingles again, and a girl with yellow curls walks in with her daddy. Mr. Johnson heads toward them. Mama and I walk to the back of the store and stand against the wall. That blonde-haired girl tries on shoes, posing in front of the mirror. I sigh. Weren't we here first? But I know colored people will always have to wait. Finally, the girl's daddy buys her a new pair of shoes, and they leave. How can I help you now? Mr. Johnson says to us. He points to a display of saddle shoes. I point to a display of saddle shoes. I want to try on those shoes, sir, I said. I hear Mama sucking her breath. Oh, we'll do something different, Ella May. We'll make a picture of your feet for Mr. Johnson. But, I start to say, pencil and paper are over there, girl, Mr. Johnson says to Mama. Mama traces my feet. Mr. Johnson takes the paper and comes back with a shoebox. Mama holds the shoes next to me. Mr. Johnson fidgets. Yeah, I think these will fit, Mama says, and she counts out the money. Rain is pouring down when we leave. Mama snaps open her umbrella. Mama, I say, can't colored folks try on shoes? Mama sighs. No. But then she puts on a smile. Let's think about how nice your feet will look for school. I like my shoes, but it isn't fair that the other girl can try them on and I can't. Mama and I walk together, listening to the rain. The next day, in the schoolyard, I show Charlotte my shoes. But then I tell her about what happened at Johnson's. Charlotte nods. Yes, that's happened to me too, she says. Even though I have new shoes, I feel bad most of the day. But then during spelling, I have an idea. I tell Charlotte as we walk home. Yes, she says, I'll help. So Charlotte and I do chores. We scrub, we pick the last green beans, we mind the babies. Most folks say they can't pay much. Never mind, I said, we'll work for a nickel and a pair of outgrown shoes. At the end of the month, we line up the shoes on empty shelves in the old barn next to our house. Charlotte scoops up the coins. I'll go buy the polish, she says. While she's gone, I clean the shoes with soft rags. Then I pull out all the dirty shoelaces. I wash them in lots of soapy water until the water squeezes off them clean. I hang the laces on the clothesline to dry in the sun. Charlotte comes running back. I call red, she says. She uses a nickel to pry open the red tin, and I open the black. I take a pair of shoes and rub the polish in. Then I scrunch up my hand inside, smoothing out all the wrinkles, and buff these shoes until they shine. The sun has dried the laces, so I thread them back through the holes. Charlotte holds up the shiny red Mary Jane she has been buffing. Almost good as new, she says proudly. The neighbors know we are ready to open even before the paint on our sign is dry. Ella Mae and Charlotte's shoes. Price 10 cents and another used pair. Mrs. Douglas peeps in the barn door, holding little Laura's hand. Right behind, I see the neighbors coming. Look at this, Mrs. Douglas says. No need to go to Johnson's now. Then she hesitates. Last time the shoes from Johnson's gave my Laura blisters, she says. Can she try these on to see which fits best? Charlotte and I smile, and we hold our heads up proud and say, yes, ma'am, she can. I say it loud and clear. In our store, anyone who walks in the door can try on all the shoes they want. The end. Isn't that a great story? And this isn't about a real kid, but this is a real thing that happened in Jim Crow South, that you couldn't even try on a pair of shoes if you had colored skin. And isn't that sad? Okay. I do believe, let me just make sure. My notes here. Yes, children leaving the sanctuary. So if you don't want to leave the sanctuary today, you don't have to. But if you would like to, you can, except somebody's going to have to go with you. And it's not going to be me. So I will give you the choice. And while you make that choice, I will listen to some centering music. Thank you, Randy. Our first reading is from one of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman. It's called My New Year Wish. I hope that in this year to come, you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things, trying new things, learning, living, pushing yourself, changing your world. You're doing things you've never done before, and more importantly, you're doing something. So that's my wish for you and all of us, and my wish for myself. Let's make new mistakes. Make glorious, amazing mistakes. Make mistakes nobody's ever made before. Don't freeze, don't stop, don't worry that it isn't good enough or it isn't perfect or whatever it is, art, love, work, family, life, whatever it is you're scared of, do it. Make your mistakes next year and always. Amen. So, let's see. Now is the time in our service where we will ask if you have any joys or sorrows to share. I will start by lighting a candle for Miss Yasmin to hope she's doing better, and also for our friend Deb, our treasurer, Deb Carmel, who had some surgery this week and is doing just fine. Thanks be. Anyone else have something to share? Anything, anywhere? Okay, good. We will just keep this going today then. Let's, I'll tell you what, let's light one for Sidney Poitier. Beautiful man. Amen. And for Betty White. God bless her. Oh, Desmond Tutu, yes. Boy, we've lost a lot of good ones in the past few weeks, haven't we? All right, and as our practice here, I will light 2 final candles, one for all of those joys and sorrows that we keep in our hearts today, and one for other people that just don't have a great place like this to come and share their joys and their sorrows. Okay. We're priming him to be our IT guy. We start him young here. Thank you, Brody. Let us enter now into the spirit of prayer and meditation. Take a few deep breaths and center yourselves. Source of all, deepest mystery, be with us in this moment as we sit with our intentions for the new year. The year that has passed was difficult, and we have more challenges to come. So as we enter this new year, may we find strength together and with our friends and family, and have faith that this too shall pass. May we be safe and healthy and try our best to keep others safe and healthy. May we be grateful for all we have and bless those who make it possible. Let's give a special blessing to all of our healthcare workers and teachers who are so vital and so stressed. May their patience and sense of service outweigh the lack of appreciation and respect that they get from some people, for everyone's sake. Lord of all that is righteous and Lady of love, may we undertake to do our work with persistence and joy, and may we find support on our path. Amen. I am going to read now My High Resolve by Howard Thurman. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, if I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time, it was full-orbed, glorious, and resplendent. I was sure that I would never forget. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, there crept into my life the dust and grit of the journey. Details, lower-level demands, all kinds of cross-currents. Nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, a clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or foul, in good times or in tempests, in the days where darkness and foe are nameless or familiar, that I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Amen. Okay, our second reading is from Philip Moffat, used by permission. With goals, the future is always the focus. Are you going to reach the goal? Will you be happy when you do? What's next? Setting intention, at least according to Buddhist teachings, is quite different than goal making. It is not oriented toward a future outcome. Instead, it is a path or practice that is focused on how you are being in the present moment. Your attention is on the ever-present now, in the constantly changing flow of life. You set your intentions based on understanding what matters most to you and make a commitment to align your worldly actions with your inner values. Goals help you make your place in the world and be an effective person, but being grounded in intention is what provides integrity and unity in life. What would it be like if you didn't measure the success of your life by just what you get and you don't get, but gave equal or greater priority to how you are aligned with your deepest values? Join me now for our second hymn, number 391, Voice Still and Small. Please rise as you are willing and able. We'll sing it twice. To mention too that I feel sometimes like the hymns get a little repetitive, but I want you to know that there are only certain hymns in both of our hymnals that we can use while we are streaming live. So I didn't want you to think I'm just getting unoriginal. I'm trying to mix it up as best I can. Okay, now is the time in our service where we ask you for your kind donations toward the good works of this church, of which there are many. And we thank you so much for your generosity. You want to clap? Yay! Oh, you guys are so cute. Oh, boy, sometimes you don't even know when you really need to hear a piece of music. I think I needed to hear that piece of music today. That really made me, filled my battery. Yeah, Bach. Yes, with intention. Indeed. Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to find my sermon here. I printed on both sides of the paper, and that's just terrible. Okay. Our Soul Matters theme for January is living with intention. I found one anonymous source that defined intention as the difference between those old mustard stains and Jackson Pollock. I like that definition a lot. But there was another definition in the resources that was maybe a better definition of intention that came from the First Unitarian Universalist Church in Minneapolis, and it said, coming from the Latin word intentionum, intention literally means a stretching out of mind, of heart, of body, of spirit. When we set an intention, we are turning our attention toward something or someone, some idea, and stretching out to meet it. So this is what the small group resources said about intention this month. Here's what I discovered. Intention is different from setting goals or resolutions in that it pulls us into who we truly are. Goals and resolutions push us out into future possibilities. To set intentions, we must listen to our inner voice, which tells us who we truly are. That was a quote from Kate Covey, who is the director of RE Resources for the Soul Matters program. So here we are again in the month of January with its talk of daring resolutions and demanding calls to become better. It's hard to resist. After all, who of us couldn't benefit from a little self-improvement? And so most of us gladly go along and declare, this year I am finally going to be a better me. But are we sure this is what we really want? When you read that quote above about being pulled in rather than pushed out, what happens in your heart? Is being pushed really what you want and need? Are you really excited about the New Year's work of striving to create a brand new you? Or do you suddenly notice an internal whisper that says, I long to be pulled more deeply into myself, more than I already am? In other words, maybe this New Year's work is not about pushing forward into self-improvement, but about pausing, stepping back, and asking, what hunger does my heart have? There is, after all, a big difference between becoming better and becoming ourselves. Self-improvement is not the same as self-alignment. Wanting to get from point A to point B is something quite different than longing to find your inner anchor. Bottom line, goals and intentions may be indeed more distinct than we think. And being clear about that may be more important than we think. So this month, maybe our most meaningful work is to make room. All around us this month, there's going to be tons of talk about creating goals and imagining who we might become. But living with intention seems to be more about creating a quiet space that allows us to connect with who we already are, a space that protects us from the pressure to accomplish and instead makes room to ask questions of integrity. And if we are able to carve out that quieter space, then maybe we will discover that this isn't the year of finally becoming a better me. Maybe we'll decide it's enough to simply, finally be me. That's the end of that quote from the Soul Matters resources. So my mom posted something on Facebook this week that kind of perfectly encompasses what we're talking about. Excuse me. She said, and I quote, "I hear people say it was a bad year, but really there were some bad moments or days, but not the entire year. I look at my human and realize that we live happy together. We seldom, if ever, exchange unkind words, and we each have our own interests encouraged by one another. That's a gift. I have opened doors this year that were nailed shut, if only just a little, and peeked in. I no longer defend or keep silent about injustice. I have learned to use my words when I need to. Not everything is perfect. I have much work to do in the coming year, but I will do it. As the minutes to a new year creep up, I don't have a list of should-haves. I have done what makes me happy and never let a pandemic interfere. I saw all my sunsets and walked on my beaches, enjoyed the company of friends and a week in P-Town. I sat on my rock and wrote stories. Life was good. I shall always consider my children my wealth. My faith is my strength. So in keeping with who I am, it is just the simple things in life that are really huge. I am who I am. Take it or leave it." End quote. Perfectly put, Mom. Perfectly put. I am who I am. Take it or leave it. You know, I think it can be a little harder to do than just to reach a goal, to be able to intentionally decide that we are good enough, actually. That's harder to do than we think. There's an awful lot of pressure for us to always be setting newer and higher goals, to constantly improve, to become somehow always better than we are, which implies that we will never be good enough as we are already, right? And I don't subscribe to that. I'm going to read that second reading again from Philip Moffat because it's important about understanding that difference between goals and intentions. With goals, the future is always the focus. Are you going to reach the goal? Will you be happy? What's next? Setting intention, at least according to Buddhists, is quite different. It is not oriented toward a future outcome, instead a path or practice that is focused on how you are being in the present moment. Your attention is on the ever-present now in the constant changing flow of life. You set your intentions based on understanding what matters most to you and make a commitment to align your worldly actions with your inner values. Goals help you make your place in the world and be an effective person, but being grounded in intention is what provides integrity and unity in your life. What would it be like if you didn't measure success of your life just by what you get and don't get, but gave equal or greater priority to how you are aligned with your deepest values? That's a lot to digest there, which is why I wanted to read it twice. But I think it makes a lot more sense to set intentions than goals. We already live in a world where we are bombarded with criticism and everything gets picked apart. And we're made to feel like if we don't do something amazing to brag about on Facebook, well, we aren't really important. As our president would say, malarkey. And I will add to that horse feathers and codswallop because I'm trying to reintroduce old-timey words like that. So how do we do this? How do we set an intention? How do we resolve to be our truest selves instead of setting goals to achieve? First, I think we need to ask ourselves what we want to take and leave so we can get closer to the person we already are. So when we tell others that we are who we are, take it or leave it, we can actually mean it. For instance, okay, it's okay to think, I really want to lose weight this year. But turn that I have to lose 50 pounds this year into my intention is to be healthier and more aware of my body. And losing 50 pounds might actually be in your future, but if you start living with the intention every day to be more mindful of your health, and you are, it doesn't really matter at the end of the year if you lost 50 pounds. What matters is if you can answer, do you feel happier and healthier in body, mind, and spirit? What the scale says doesn't really matter, right? So for me, one way I'm going to live more intentionally this year is to stop being an amazing multitasker. I want to try and very intentionally sometimes be a single tasker. This is really hard for me. I don't know if you understand how hard this is for me. I realized that I am almost always doing at least two things at once. And it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm a news junkie. I get that. I don't think I ate more than a handful of meals last year where I wasn't reading news on my phone or watching Netflix. I watch TikTok videos while I do laundry. I can't even take a shower without putting on NPR, so I don't miss anything. If I'm working in the kitchen, I have to be like, Alexa, tell me a joke. I just can't do dishes in silence. What's my flash briefing? What's the word of the day? What's today in history? Shut up and do your dishes. To me, it begs a few questions that I am forced to ask myself if I want to align my deepest values and my truest self. Why do I have such a resistance right now to being alone with my own thoughts? What am I avoiding? What might I discover in the silence that I don't want to face? I guess I'll have to find that out for myself. Because you see where intention comes from? It begins from the inside with being honest with yourself and then draws you into the place where you can process. I'm not saying I have to eradicate being a news junkie because I like being a news junkie, okay? I like to be informed, but if I can keep it in my mind to have decided to intentionally take a shower in silence, or take a walk in silence, or do my chores in silence, I might start to figure out something about myself that I have come to realize is an issue. And it'll be okay to live in silence for a while now that I know I need to. Maybe I didn't know how much I missed it, and when I get some back, I might be okay with it, but I gotta start trying. When we live with intention, when we are aligned with our actions and our values, we don't have to strive to be better. We become closer to who we are, and we become happier people. It just happens. When we set our goals in the future, it's sort of all up in the air. When we count every moment, we gain something. And if we fail this moment, there's another one following, so we can try again, right? Think about how when people teach about meditation and clearing your mind, and they say, sometimes things are just going to keep entering in your mind. It's okay. Go, it's all right, I'm going to let it clear again. You didn't fail your meditation because something entered your mind. You just have to move on, right? So this year, may we fail enough to make us smarter. May we fall enough to make us stronger. And may we befriend our truest selves. And may this world be a better place for it. Amen. And so may it be. Now, let's see, our closing hymn is number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able. 34. May we dare to live from the center of our being. May we make our own choices before others make choices for us. May the fires that burn in our belly light the way. May our collective intention make the world shine anew. Amen. Go in peace, everyone. Hold fast. We love you. Stay strong. I don't know if we're going to see you next week, because next week is the Randy's week off, which is usually when we do our Feed Your Soul Sunday. But that involves a very brief thing up here, and then we go sit downstairs. And because this thing is so virulent right now, I am pretty much saying we are canceling that for next week. I don't think it's even safe with us sitting in masks to be that close to each other in a room right at the moment. So we will see you week after next week. All right. Yes.